Title: The Pale Woman Comes, Paranormal Stories and Urban Legends. Once upon a time, in a small residential building with 6 floors and apartments on each floor, there was a peculiar occurrence. The building was peaceful, with no major issues among the neighbors, except for the security guards provided by a company. One particular guard had a problem with alcoholism, often arriving late or not showing up at all, leaving his unfortunate colleague to cover his shifts. This arrangement was unfair and took a toll on the dedicated guard. One day, my father, who worked for a company that managed buildings, noticed the situation and offered to stay behind when the unreliable guard finished his shift. On one occasion, the guard failed to show up again, leaving my father to take his place. Little did he know that this decision would lead him to witness one of the most inexplicable mysteries he had ever encountered. As my father settled in for a full day at the building, he noticed workers repairing the elevator. Their presence was necessary as the residents had to use the stairs until the repairs were completed. The rain started pouring, forcing the workers to halt their progress until the next day. As my father sat alone, gazing out towards the street, he heard footsteps approaching. A young woman, accompanied by her dog, hurriedly descended the stairs. She seemed confused and stopped near the exit instead of leaving the building. Curiosity piqued, my father approached her, and she shared a strange encounter she had experienced on the 3rd floor. The motion sensor lights in the hallway failed to turn on, and she saw a woman she had never seen before standing near the door of the last apartment. This woman had jet black hair and an extremely pale complexion. The young woman had never seen her before and wondered if she was a visitor or someone new to the building. This encounter unsettled her, and she felt compelled to share it with my father. Intrigued, my father offered to investigate and suggested checking the security cameras located in the basement guard room. Unaware of their existence, he went to inspect the footage while the young woman and her dog ventured out into the rain. The camera angle only captured the woman's feet, but it was evident that someone was standing in the dark hallway. My father, who was not a security guard, felt unsure of what to do in this situation. He decided to go to the rooftop, pretending to check on the maintenance workers and greet them. However, when he reached the 3rd floor, there was no sign of anyone. He assumed the woman might have left to make a phone call or something similar, as her stillness did not activate the motion sensor. Upon his return, my father informed the young woman that he had investigated but found no one. She left, satisfied with his efforts. My father tried to forget about the incident, believing it to be the strangest thing he had encountered at work. Little did he know that something even more bizarre was about to unfold. Around 8 p.m., an elderly maintenance worker arrived, visibly nervous and acting strangely. He greeted my father and asked him to go to the rooftop for something. Concerned, my father allowed him to pass without questioning further. Minutes turned into an hour, and the worker did not return. 2 other workers arrived, relieved to see my father, and asked if he had seen the elderly worker. They explained that they had been having dinner nearby when the worker suddenly stood up, asked if they had seen someone pass by, and left without any explanation. Worried, they searched for him but found no trace. Eventually, they decided to return to the building, fearing something had happened to him. The police were called, and with the residents' permission, they searched every corner of the building, including the apartments. They found no evidence of foul play or any indication that the missing worker had entered any of the units. The incident did not make the news, it was just another disappearance. However, my father couldn't help but wonder if there was a connection between the pale woman seen by the young woman and the subsequent disappearance of the elderly worker. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, I witnessed a strange occurrence near my house. There was a small grocery store called Don Simon, run by an elderly man in his 70s who had been widowed for a decade. He had no children or known family, making him one of the oldest residents in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, his store was always empty as people preferred to shop at larger supermarkets, considering them safer during the pandemic. My family and I occasionally visited Don Simon's store to support him, but when my mother fell ill, we had to stop going. We isolated ourselves to avoid spreading the virus, relying on a friend to deliver groceries to our doorstep. During this time, my sister and I spent most of our days in the living room, taking turns sitting by the window to observe any signs of life outside, as the streets were nearly deserted. One day, we noticed a woman inside Don Simon's store. She sat behind the counter, near the back door that connected the store to his living quarters. Sometimes it was difficult to see her clearly due to the darkness, but at certain hours we could make out her pale complexion and the absence of a face mask. We had never seen her before, and it surprised us that Don Simon allowed her to be there without any protection. When we finally mustered the courage to ask Don Simon about the woman, he seemed confused at first, claiming he didn't have many customers and that he planned to close the store. However, after a moment, he seemed to understand our question and became perplexed. He asked us to clarify which woman we were referring to, and we pointed towards the spot where we had seen her. Don Simon turned slowly, taking a step towards the area, and informed us that there was no one else with him. He was alone, as he had always been. He then asked if we were joking, but my sister and I burst into nervous laughter, pretending it was all a prank. We quickly left the store, our hearts pounding, and returned home. Days later, we received news that Don Simon had passed away. It was a devastating blow, and I couldn't help but feel guilty for not being able to help him in his final days. I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something real about the woman we had seen, something that I had failed to understand or assist with. It was a burden I had to carry, knowing that I hadn't fulfilled my duty as his surrogate child. Once, a group of teenagers decided to investigate the urban legend of the pale woman in the small town. They had heard stories of her haunting the abandoned house on Elm Street, but no one had ever gathered enough evidence to prove her existence. Determined to uncover the truth, they gathered their cameras and equipment and ventured into the eerie darkness of the house. As they explored each room, the atmosphere grew heavier, and an unsettling presence enveloped them. They reached the top floor, where they had heard footsteps and whispers echoing from the darkness. With trembling hands, they turned on their cameras and began recording. Suddenly, a chilling gust of wind blew through the house, extinguishing their flashlights. Panic filled the air as they fumbled to find their way out. In the darkness, a figure appeared before them, the pale woman, her eyes devoid of life. Frozen in fear, they watched as she slowly raised her hand, pointing to a hidden door behind them. With a desperate leap, they stumbled through the door, finding themselves in a hidden room. Inside the room, they discovered a stack of old journals and newspaper clippings. The journals detailed the tragic life of a woman who had lived in the house decades ago. She had suffered from a rare skin condition, which caused her to have an extremely pale complexion. The townspeople had shunned her, labeling her as a witch and blaming her for various misfortunes that befell the town. As they read through the clippings, they realized that the woman had been falsely accused and persecuted. In her final entry, she wrote about summoning a spirit to seek revenge on those who had wronged her. The teenagers now understood that the pale woman's presence was a result of her unfinished business, to clear her name and take vengeance on those who had unjustly tormented her. With their newfound knowledge, the teenagers decided to uncover the truth about the pale woman's story. They reached out to local historians and conducted extensive research to prove her innocence. Through their efforts, they were able to bring justice to her memory, ensuring that the town would never forget the tragic tale of the pale woman. In the years that followed, the abandoned house on Elm Street became a popular tourist attraction, with people intrigued by the paranormal stories and the urban legend of the pale woman. The town embraced its dark history, organizing yearly events and ghost tour to preserve the memory of the woman who had suffered unjustly. In addition to the yearly events and ghost tour organized by the town, a local artist decided to pay tribute to the pale woman by creating a stunning mural on the side of a nearby building. The mural depicted the woman's image, her hauntingly pale complexion captured in intricate detail. The artwork became a symbol of remembrance and a source of fascination for both locals and visitors alike. As word of the mural spread, a renowned author who specialized in paranormal stories took interest in the legend of the Pale Woman. Intrigued by the town's history and the tragic tale, the author decided to write a book centered around the urban legend. They delved deep into research and conducted interviews with those who claimed to have encountered the Pale Woman or had knowledge of her haunting presence. With the release of the book, titled Shadows of the Pale, Unveiling the Mystery, the Pale Woman's story reached a wider audience. The book became a bestseller and further fueled the fascination surrounding the urban legend. People from far and wide visited the town, eager to experience the eerie atmosphere firsthand and learn more about the Pale Woman. The town's economy flourished as local businesses capitalized on the influx of tourists. Souvenir shops sold merchandise featuring the Pale Woman's image, including t-shirts, keychains, and posters. Cafes and restaurants offered specialized menus inspired by the legend, such as Pale Woman's Chai or Haunted House Burger. Embracing the attention brought by the Pale Woman's tale, the town council approved the construction of a small museum dedicated to the paranormal and urban legends. The museum showcased artifacts related to the Pale Woman's story, including old photographs, personal items, and newspaper clippings. Interactive exhibits allowed visitors to immerse themselves in the chilling atmosphere and learn more about the town's haunted history. The legend of the Pale Woman continued to evolve, as new stories of encounters and sightings emerged. Some claimed to have seen her wandering the streets late at night, while others spoke of hearing her whispering in their ears. These accounts were shared on social media platforms, further perpetuating the allure of the Pale Woman and drawing even more curious visitors to the town. Despite the commercialization and increasing popularity, the residents of the town never forgot the tragic origins of the Pale Woman's story. They remained respectful of her memory and continued to honor her with empathy and understanding. The town's motto became "Remember the Pale, Embrace Our Haunted Past," serving as a reminder to appreciate the history and lessons embedded within urban legends and paranormal tales. In an effort to commemorate the Pale Woman's haunting presence, the town decided to hold an annual festival dedicated to urban legends and paranormal stories. The festival, known as the Pale Woman Festival, aimed to bring together enthusiasts, researchers, and curious visitors from all over the world. During the festival, there were various activities and attractions to engage attendees. Ghost tours were conducted, allowing participants to explore the town's most haunted locations and hear chilling tales from local storytellers. A costume contest was also held, encouraging people to dress up as their favorite paranormal characters, with the Pale Woman being a popular choice. As part of the festival, a dedicated section was set up for paranormal researchers to share their findings and present their latest discoveries. This provided a platform for experts in the field to exchange knowledge and delve deeper into the mysteries surrounding the Pale Woman and other supernatural phenomena. Additionally, renowned psychics and mediums were invited to offer psychic readings and connect with the spirits that supposedly roamed the town. These sessions provided visitors with an opportunity to seek insight and perhaps even communicate with the Pale Woman herself. To enhance the immersive experience, a virtual reality exhibit was introduced, allowing attendees to step into the shoes of the Pale Woman and experience her haunting encounters firsthand. This innovative attraction aimed to transport visitors into the chilling world of the paranormal, leaving them with a lasting impression of the Pale Woman's presence. As the Pale Woman's story continued to captivate the town and draw in more visitors, local artists were inspired to create their own interpretations of her image. Sculptors crafted delicate statues depicting the Pale Woman in various poses, capturing her ethereal beauty and haunting presence. These sculptures were displayed in public spaces throughout the town, serving as poignant reminders of her enduring legacy. The popularity of the Pale Woman's tale also led to the creation of a dedicated podcast series, where paranormal enthusiasts and experts delved deeper into her story. Each episode explored different aspects of the legend, featuring interviews with eyewitnesses, historians, and even skeptics who offered alternative explanations. The podcast became a hit among true crime and mystery enthusiasts, further cementing the Pale Woman's status as a cultural phenomenon. To celebrate the Pale Woman's enduring impact, an annual theater production was launched, presenting a mesmerizing stage adaptation of her story. The show seamlessly blended elements of horror, drama, and folklore, leaving audiences spellbound and haunted by the chilling performance. It became a must-see event for both locals and tourists, further solidifying the town's reputation as a hub for paranormal enthusiasts. In an effort to honor the Pale Woman's memory and support budding artists, the town established a scholarship program. The Pale Woman Arts Scholarship provided funding for talented individuals pursuing studies in fine arts, with a focus on paranormal themes. This initiative aimed to nurture creativity and ensure that the Pale Woman's story continued to inspire future generations. As the years passed, the town experienced a subtle shift in energy, as if the Pale Woman's presence had brought about a sense of balance and acceptance. People began sharing their own personal experiences with the paranormal, realizing that their encounters were not isolated incidents but part of a larger tapestry of supernatural phenomena. The town became known as a sanctuary for those seeking solace and understanding in the realm of the unexplained. The Pale Woman's legend also sparked a resurgence of interest in other urban legends and paranormal stories across the region. Towns neighboring the original location began sharing their own tales of ghostly encounters and mysterious phenomena, forming a network of interconnected legends that intrigued researchers and thrill-seekers alike. Ultimately, the enduring legacy of the Pale Woman served as a catalyst for greater exploration and acceptance of the supernatural. People became more open-minded and receptive to the idea that there may be forces beyond our understanding, waiting to be discovered. In conclusion, the tale of the Pale Woman captivated the town, leading to a thriving economy and a deep appreciation for the paranormal. The annual Pale Woman Festival celebrated urban legends and attracted enthusiasts from around the world. Through art, podcasts, and theater productions, her story became a cultural phenomenon. The town embraced its haunted past, fostering acceptance and exploration of the supernatural. The Pale Woman's legacy inspired scholarship programs and sparked interest in other regional legends, creating a network of interconnected tales. Ultimately, her presence brought about a shift in perception, encouraging open-mindedness and a greater understanding of the unexplained.